So how did I go from this to making this? Welcome to the channel. This is a channel about movie craftsmen. I want to show you the reality of being a tradesman, whether it be a sculptor, painter, plasterer, rigger, carpenter, model maker, whatever it is, the people who make films behind the camera. All that stuff, all those amazing sets you see and how much work is put into them. No one's covering that on YouTube, and I want this channel to put a spotlight on the people who really make the magic happen, the heroes. So with that being said, hit the subscribe button and let's jump into it. So in this first episode, I really have to show you my experience. This way I've got to be an open book to you guys, and then we can move forward with the channel. So I'm not going to recite all the jobs I've done. There is a hell of a lot of them. But I will give you a bit of light reading. I'm just going to run them up the side of the screen here like this. And you just do, it's like a bit of homework, you know. That was a good film, actually. That was good, that one. And that one. Not so much this one, but the rest of them great. Anyway, so while you're reading that, I'll crack on with my life story, my compressed version. So where do we start? Well, we start at the beginning. And how did that start for me? Nepotism. I know, straight up nepotism. Look, everyone was doing it back then. Everyone was connected to someone. If you watch movie credits, you'll see they all have the same surname, okay? Don't get so judgy. You would do it too. So let me introduce you to my parents, as they were the ones who got me in. This is my mum, Patty Rogers. Here she is sculpting the bounty hunter, or one of the bounty hunters, on Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. You know, it's just like another day in the office for her. Now, my mum passed away many years ago, but I found this footage of her yesterday when I was researching for stuff to put in this video. And I've never seen this before. So this was a first. Quite emotional for me to find it, actually, I have to say. And my dad, of course, Roy Rogers, not the cowboy, the artiste. His first film was Empire Strikes Back Again. Not Empire Strikes Back Again, Empire Strikes Back as well. So while other kids were off going to Disneyland on their school holidays or, you know, skiing, I spent my school holidays at Pinewood and Shepton and Elstree Studios, watching my mum work and trying very hard not to touch anything or break anything. One thing people say to me, they say, look, it must have been so cool. Parents working in the film industry, all this stuff. Oh, wow. What a cool childhood you had. No. Can you imagine? Now, just put yourself in my shoes for a moment. You're an 11, 12-year-old, okay? You've come back from your school holidays. All these kids are talking about, oh, I went to Disney. And then I say, quite innocently, I met Darth Vader. I operated Yoda. I shook Luke Skywalker's hand. I was on the Millennium Falcon. What do you think those other 11, 12-year-olds are going to say to you? I was labelled a liar and I was bullied for the rest of the year. Because most kids, and actually adults, they think Star Wars and all these big movies are made in Hollywood. It's Hollywood money, but these films are all made around London. And you think that some 12-year-old kid is going to believe another kid with this fantastical story that you were on the Millennium Falcon. You shook Mark Hamill's hand. You know, that was a massive learning curve for me to just keep it shut. I didn't, from then on, actually just throughout my whole life, unless you're in the film industry, I don't talk about films. And I think it probably comes back down to that experience. Oh, the memories are coming back now. So after the trauma of school, I went to college. And I still didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I had no idea. I was living in a bedsit on my own at 16. And then one day, the phone rang. It was my dad. Son? Yes, Dad? Would you like to come and work with me on Alien 3? Before he even finished the sentence, I said, sorry, how much are we talking? How much? You don't say. Really? I'll see you at 6 a.m. That was it. I was in. Boom. The films. Now, at school, I was rubbish at English and history and science and biology. But there were 3 subjects that I did excel in. That was art, graphics, and design technology. So basically, art, sculpting, graphics, reading, drawings, construction, basically, design technology. The 3 things that really helped me in this job. And this was like the universe saying to me, this is what you're meant to do. Film. So my first ever paid job was Alien 3. Now I'm earning money. This was my first introduction to polystyrene, which was going to be a love-hate relationship for the next 3 decades. Trust me, you can't get rid of that stuff. It gets in your clothes, you take it home, it's in your car, it's everywhere. So the jobs kept coming. I went from trainee to an assistant sculptor. I was on £600 a week on the Mummy. Absolutely loving it, learning loads. But there was still one tiny little issue. Now, as I grew up, I had a nickname, and that was Ziggy. Let's not get into how that came about. I was still being called Ziggy. My dad was introducing me to people as Ziggy. Head of departments who knew me as a kid knew me as Ziggy. They're calling me Ziggy. Everyone's calling me Ziggy. And I pulled my dad aside and said, Dad, Christ's sake, we got to drop this nickname thing. I'm not being taken seriously here. I actually have a name. It's Joel. It sounds way more professional. Let's just move forward with Joel. I mean, we're just going to drop the Ziggy. Next thing I had to do was build a portfolio. I need to start chasing jobs without being known as Patty and Roy's son, the Star Wars kid. So I was now climbing the ladder. I went from a trainee to an assistant to sculptor, sculptor to charge hand, which is being in charge of a set, supervisor on occasion, and then department head on occasion. So my lucky break came from a guy called Andy Holder. He was the head of department on the Harry Potter films, but he gave me my lucky break. He gave me the work to sculpt all the snowdrifts for the Hogsmeade set on Azkaban. I was doing that for 3 months in the cold on my own. And then when it came to taking what I had made and fit it to the set, to all the buildings and stuff at Shepton Studios, he said, right, Joel, well, you've made it. You should be in charge you should be the supervisor on the set, charge hand. So you can choose 10 people that you're going to supervise to do the install. And of course I hired my dad. How the tables had turned. Now I was the master. Okay, well, I was in charge. And that was a great feeling. I think he felt proud about it too. And over the years, we worked together many times, all the way up to his retirement. He taught me so much in the film industry. In fact, I even taught him a thing or two. I even showed him a technique on Prometheus about how to bend poly. We were doing the big head and it's got a line of poly strip across the nose. He started sculpting as an actual sort of U shape to fit over the nose. I had learned a technique previously about how you can actually bend polystyrene without it snapping. His mind was blown. He couldn't believe it. How the hell did you know that? I learned it from another person who showed me on this other job. And you're always learning. And that was one of my dad's favourite saying. Always learning. You're always learning. And he's not wrong. I'd go to a film premiere, at Leicester Square, and I'd be sitting there. And there's the one time that no one gets up at the end when you go to see a film. I remember I took a friend of mine to a cruise screening And as the credits come up, the natural thing is you start getting up, and he's like, I grabbed him. No. This is where we all sit down and stare at the screen, because everyone in this cinema right now is looking for their name. And then my name wouldn't come up. Oh, and I'd say to myself, I didn't even fucking get a credit. I gave them 6 months of my life, overtime, and they didn't give me a credit. You say, you got paid, didn't you? Yeah, I got paid. Well, what are you complaining about? It's nice to have a bit of recognition. You got paid. Stop complaining. I've actually just started an Instagram channel to accompany this channel. Now, I actually haven't gathered all my work photos together and put them online. I know, 30 years and I've still not done that, but I finally have. So check out my Instagram. Here's some of my work pictures for you to peruse. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.